If you look at the industry, motor insurance represents about $700 to $800 billion of global premium for insurance industry comes from one line of business, which is motor. For most developing or emerging insurance market, which is where I will put Middle East in general as, motor insurance represents more than 50% of the total general insurance premiums.
This is Vinay Surana, Managing Director at global insurance company Allianz Partners, who spoke to AGBI about the risks associated with future mobility options, including electric vehicles, autonomous vehicles, and air taxis. Data suggests that the risks, be it the number or severity of accidents, is higher with the newer mobility options compared to ICE vehicles. Surana explains.
We have seen a 30% increase in frequency when it comes to EV versus ICE. And you might look at me and like, that's unreal, why? We were also amazed when we first saw these stats. In our book, we saw in the industry, and it kind of brought at least the whole concern that the industry had that EV will drive higher losses to bear, because there was 30% more number of cases that were happening, right? And when we dig deep into it, we found the problem was that EV vehicles perform quite differently as compared to ICE vehicles. The response rate, in terms of response of the vehicle to the driver's foot on the gas, is very different than ICE, right? Second, there is no sound. And this is how you see the sensors work, right? When you sit in a car, you don't only feel the car. When you start the engine of the car, it's the sound that also sends the signal to your brain to say the car is on. We have had so many accidents that we have seen. You've got 20-year experienced driver driving a car out of the showroom, which is an EV, has an accident within first 10 days.
As a result, electric vehicles are more expensive to insure compared to petrol vehicles. Another vertical for insurers to consider is autonomous vehicles, considering the RTA's aim that a quarter of all transportation in Dubai will be autonomous by 2025.
Once we have got full autonomous mobility, right, we should see a drastic reduction in the frequency of accidents. However, we expect that the severity will be much higher.
However, insurance for autonomous vehicles will be tricky, with the biggest question being who pays for the damages in case of an accident: the manufacturer, network provider, or the owner of the vehicle. Now, autonomous driving is divided into 5 levels: driver assistance, partial driving automation, conditional driving automation, high driving automation, and full driving automation. Anything less than full driving automation, i.e. L5, will bring the onus of liabilities onto the driver.
As long as a driver can take the control back from the vehicle, right, and has the ability to influence how that vehicle performs, right, driver will be a factor in how you price the risk. When you get to L5 level of autonomy, you don't expect the driver. Same as San Francisco today. The taxi shows up without a driver. So if there is no driver in the vehicle, that element doesn't exist. And in that scenario, you need to really underwrite the risk based on who is driving the vehicle. It is the technology that is driving the vehicle. It's the manufacturer who manufactured the vehicle. It is the technology provider who actually wrote the software that drives the vehicle. And it's the connectivity provider who's providing the connectivity and the coverage that is required so that the vehicle never goes out of the range.
Flying taxis are also slated to begin operations in Dubai by the first quarter of 2026. Are the region's insurers ready for it?
The insurance framework here, it is in its infancy, if I'm very honest with you, because this is one area where insurance industry doesn't have a lot of experience, right? The experience in aviation has been around commercial aviation, right? When you think about air mobility in a dense residential setting, right, it's a very different ballgame. And so the chain is as strong as the weakest link. So if you have got 15 aerial taxis flying, right, only one needs to make a mistake. The other 14 might be perfect, right, and you can cause a lot of damage. So how do you really raise the standard of training, of capability, of the infrastructure that is required to keep these taxis flying in a safe manner before you can really put it into public use?